Hi everybody. I have not recorded live on YouTube for a long time. Actually, I guess this is a recording, but I am Melanie Williams from melaniejwilliams.com. And I am a spiritual teacher, spiritual mentor, working a lot with the emotional body. And today what I want to talk to you about is this epidemic of anxiety that we have going on. And why I say that is because I just hear this over and over. I'm feeling so anxious. I'm feeling so anxious. I feel so anxious. And I was talking to one of my students last week, and she was saying that where she works, so many of the younger people seem to be in this state of anxiety, and it really is affecting their work. Sometimes they can't even come in because they just feel like they've shut down and they can't function. So yes, we are living in, as we like to say, unprecedented times. There's a lot going on, really a lot. And, not that there's not always a lot going on in life. There is. But this is stuff that's really in our face. It's not like something that's happening across the ocean or somewhere else. It's happening in our homes, and it's affecting, our lives and the lives of people that we love. And so it's the COVID, and it's all the racial issues that have come up once again, which they need to. And on and on. And then you may just have your own personal life stuff that's happening that, we talk about, especially at the beginning, when we were really staying at home, that in many ways it was a blessing and people loved being with their children more, being with their spouses more. But in some cases, of course, it's brought up issues, problems that have been difficult, living in such close proximity day after day. So when we have this, when we're experiencing anxiety, it's often because we feel like we're out of control, like I can't control this, and that I hear that a lot about COVID, especially kind of early on. It's like, oh, I just feel so anxious because when's this going to be over? I don't know when this is going to be over. And, we never know stuff about life, really. But somehow we think that we should have control over this thing. So yes, it's like that feeling of like, oh, I need to be in control or I'm going to feel anxious. If we feel like we can't just accept, can't just flow with, can't just roll with what's happening, that's also going to really raise our anxiety, right? Like, this is wrong, this is bad. And then we feel like, I'm just one person, I'm helpless, I'm hopeless. So, if you have a pattern of anxiety, it's almost like it's become your identity. It's like you claim it, like I'm anxious or I'm an anxious person. That's just who I am. That's how I've been for a long time. And it like, you can just see that, like just saying that, it almost like sends the roots deeper into your body, deeper into your core, deeper into every cell. It's just like, ugh, that doesn't feel good. And the other thing that happens, it's like everything just becomes kind of a clump. It's like I'm anxious. It's like, well, I don't, just everything. Well, is that really true? Take a breath. So sometimes it's helpful to just start, like in your journal, writing down, I feel anxious about, write the statement, I feel anxious about, another thing I feel anxious about, another thing. And then you start to like tease that apart. And even doing that can give you some breath, some space, because you may realize, well, I'm not anxious about everything. I'm not anxious in this part of my life. I'm not anxious about this. And so just in doing that, you may feel your body start to calm down, start to relax. When you're writing these things down, when you're feeling, anxious and you find the thought that correlates with it, you can simply ask the great question of, well, is this even true? Is this even true? Like if your statement is, this is going to happen and then I'm going to lose my job, and then if I lose my job, I'll lose my house, and then if I lose my house, we can really catastrophize, right? And so if we have this anxiety, we start to notice the thoughts. If we simply can say, is this even true? That can stop that cycle of catastrophizing. Or you could say, well, what if something else were possible here? And you say that from like a curious mind. I wonder what else is possible here. And you don't have to answer it. Just the question itself is in what I would call a higher frequency. And that will also calm you. And when we put questions out into the universe, the answer will come back at some time. So we don't have to think, well, I don't know the answer. Oh my gosh, just about that, because how do I even respond to that? Just relax. Just ask the question from a place of curiosity. And just see if you can soften a bit as you ask that question, like, well, what else is possible here? What happens often is when we feel some sense of lack of control, like somebody says something, we hear something on the news, we have a memory, we have a thought, and this anxiety starts to get triggered. And then, as I said just a moment ago, it's like we start to feed that story. We just add on to it. It's like, well, then this could happen, and this could happen, this could happen. So I'm going to encourage you to begin a practice of stopping the story as quickly as you can. Anytime we take on a new practice, it takes a little bit to be able to stop that story, because your mind is it's like a habit. It really is. It's just like a habit. And you think, well, of course I have to think it. It's true. Well, just experiment with this. And when you see yourself getting revved up, take a big breath and simply say, is this true? Or, I wonder if there's something else that's possible here that would feel better. Like what thought would feel better here? And just saying that, you might even feel like a sense of relief, a little bit more lightness. What if there was something else that felt easier, that felt more fun, that felt, maybe I should go outside for a walk. Maybe I should go drink some water. And like you notice, like, oh, all of a sudden, like these other thoughts, these other possibilities, these actions that would actually nourish you start to pop in. And you've broken that cycle. Now, is it going to be broken in one time? Probably not. It's been a pattern, right? I mean, I always like to believe in miracles, and sometimes it's like we can have a powerful enough shift that boy, we just remember that. And so it's always like, how quickly can I stop that story where I'm feeling more and more like a victim, I'm feeling powerless, I'm feeling like nothing's going right in my life. How can I stop that? Because none of that benefits us. None of that helps us to feel good inside our own bodies. None of that helps us to be of greater service to the world. So how quickly can I stop any story where I start to catastrophize, or that's going to move me into a place of just shutting down for a few hours, a few days, or that's going to then trigger choices, actions that take me away from what I'm feeling, but they're also going to keep me in the loop because they're just distracting me. So any kind of an addiction behavior, any choice that's going to like numb us out. You know what your favorite ones are. I don't have to tell you that. So how do we begin to shift this? The key is we start with noticing. It's like, oh wow, ooh, I feel this anxiety coming up. And it probably, if you really tune in, you'll notice that there are some physical qualities to it. You might feel some butterflies in your chest. Maybe your stomach starts to tighten. Maybe you notice like these self-deprecating thoughts that start to roll through your mind. So you can pause. You can put your hand on your heart, on your belly, hands here if you want. You can just put your hands on your lap, lengthen your spine. I like to put my hands on my heart here. Just because I like to connect in and feel it. So it's like, oh wow, I'm feeling a lot. Wow, there's this anxiety come up. And then you breathe while you're doing that. Big inhale, big exhale through the mouth. And you just notice. It's like you become that observer, which a lot of people who teach meditation, Michael Singer comes to my mind, where it's like you begin to observe the one who is suffering. You observe it from a higher state of mind, higher state of being. It's like, wow, look at all that anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety in here. And you just continue to take those deep breaths. Wow, I'm sorry that you are suffering so much. Big breath. It's okay, I'm right here with you. And you speak to that part of you like it's a younger child, because that part of you is frightened. She or he needs some comfort, and you can give that comfort from the wiser part of yourself, the part of you that is in the knowing that everything truly is okay. And you just keep talking to yourself, breathing, and acknowledging the feeling, allowing it to come up, to move through like the wave of an ocean. Come up and move through like a wave of the ocean. And so you can just do that. You know, you can do it for like a minute or two. Maybe at the beginning you're like, okay, I'll do that for, a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then it's like, okay, I gotta move, I can't take it anymore, and you stand up and shake out and maybe go for a walk or something. But gradually you can sit with yourself for longer spaces of time. So what you're doing is like there's all this anxiety that's tight, and when you can sit peacefully and hold that in this place of compassion and love and awareness, it's like that part of yourself is more expanded, that wisdom part of yourself. And then you're holding that like you would hold a child. It's like, okay, sweetheart, I see you. Wow, you're feeling really afraid. I've got you, honey. Because that part of you, that's what she or he needs that attention, that awareness, that kindness, right? That acknowledgement. Because we've been holding down and pushing down these fears that we've had for so long, for decades, for most of us. And now we're allowing it to have a voice. We're saying, okay, I'm willing, even if it's just like I said, for a minute at a time, but just a little bit comes up and is able to transmute, to move through. And then the next day or the next time you sit with yourself a little bit more, and suddenly you realize, oh, I can sit with myself longer and longer. So what we've been doing the opposite of what is really required. We've been running away from what we feel rather than sitting with it. So like if you're doing meditation or EFT tapping or any practice or even like, exercise, if you're doing it to run away from what you're really feeling, it's just going to keep coming round and round and round. If you're meditating to really sit with what rises, If you're doing the EFT, which is to really just sit with what rises and to love yourself in the process. If you take yourself out in nature, go for a walk as a nourishing, loving, healing thing, then these old energies can come up and begin to move through. And you begin to have more and more space inside yourself, in your mind, in your thoughts, in your cells. So, yeah, that's what I had for you today. Let me know if you have any other questions about this. If you would like to know more about me, you can go to melaniejwilliams.com. That's my website. You can comment here. If you want to work privately with me, I do 6-month mentorships with people where we work one-on-one, and I help you to take in new practices, to develop new practices that will help to ease out these old energies that have been holding you down, that's been causing this suffering in your body, mind, spirit. What else? Yes, I do have a class coming up starting first Monday in October, around the power of gratitude. Now, if you're on YouTube, you may be watching this like 2 years from now, so that's gone and done. But I'm oftentimes teaching some course. So again, if you want to be connected, you can also go on Facebook, friend me at Melanie Williams. And thank you for watching this. I hope this was helpful. Please make any comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, and my intention is to start putting out a video like this once a week. So next week, we will be doing some tapping on this anxiety that we spoke about today. All right, sending you my love. Bye-bye, everybody.